Hi guys, my name's Kayla, and for my senior project this year I'm going to be educating you guys about what exactly an illegal marijuana grow site looks like and the environmental impacts. So right now we're going to head out to one that's been not in use for many years, so don't worry, it's not totally dangerous, but I'm just going to show you guys what a typical grow site looks like, and we're going to talk about what goes on out there and also some of the environmental impacts due to all that. Thanks, let's get going. Alright, so here we are. We just came off of the main road. Now we're on a dirt road heading towards the grow site. I'm here with a guy named John.
Hi.
That's John. He is a current forester for a forestry company, and he knows this road, and we're following a guy by the name of Dick. He's a security guy for the same forestry company. And right now we're on our way. So we made it. This is the entrance to a marijuana grow site. Dick's on the right hand side, John is on the left, and we're gonna start going in. So
here we go. Follow us.
So as you can see, this is kind of a worn down path in a sense. A lot of people have used this before.
Yeah, we're just coming into it. You can see how it gets a little lighter in front of us here. That's because they obviously need light for the plants. And you can see the tent.
So right through the trees here, you can see a tent, which is where people who stay here. So there's the tent, and I think we're gonna walk in a little farther so we can show you a little more detail. Let's keep walking.
Keep walking. This is the first sign that something's up, right?
So if you see this black water line anywhere, you should probably leave.
Yep. You don't know if that's something someone put in a couple weeks ago or something that was put in 5 years ago. So dangerous situation at that point.
Yeah, this black pipe right here is to illegally divert water. People sometimes store it in trash cans, this water, so then they can water their plants.
And then of course off of those lines are these little what they call feeder lines, and this feeds each plant. And each one of these, this one's turned upside down of course, but this was in a barrel. And then this one, this is the old marijuana stock from when they harvested last time. So a lot of these have been tipped over by someone who wants to either reuse these canisters or we're not quite sure what's going on here, but so let's keep walking. We'll tour you a little bit more around the grow site here.
So here's some more water lines, some more pots tipped over. You can see there's a ton of this stuff out here. Got some tarps. Here's a close-up of the tent. Looks like there's some sort of raised wooden platform in there. Maybe that's where they slept at night.
Fertilizer.
Here's some fertilizer. Great stuff.
Nasty stuff for the stream.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Watch your step on these stumps. This will trip you up.
So
Dick, why do they have these trash cans here?
Well, what they do is they fill those cans at night with water, and then they'll use those water holding as a water holding and water the plants when they're not tied into the water source above, which we'll go look at in a little while.
would you like to talk about the fertilizers and stuff they use out here?
Well, they use rat poisonings to keep the rats away from the base of the plants, and a lot of herbicides and stuff to keep the weeds down and stuff, and it all gets absorbed by the plant. So you know, the marijuana is not that pure when people smoke it. They're breathing and smoking stuff from the herbicide. So yeah, it's a common thing in just about every garden.
Yeah, nasty chemicals.
Yeah.
For sure. So you can see there's a bunch of big mounds of dirt. Looks like these right here just come out from those black pots I had shown you earlier. As you can see, the farther we go in, there's more and more of them out here. Most of them are tipped over or pots are gone.
Yeah, this grow site, many of them, they just keep going like a maze out in the forest.
Yeah, they really are like a maze.
They make a lot of them.
Yeah, and this is considered one of the smaller grow sites. There can be thousands and thousands of plants out here. Yeah, so this is definitely one of the smaller ones.
All right, one of the other environmental impacts that these growers do is to cut down the trees. We're in a dense forest, except of course right where the grow site is. They need direct sunlight onto the plants, and so they will come through and cut many of the trees that we've spent many thousands of dollars planting and trying to grow, and many years growing, and now we've lost it in this half acre because of the cutting that they did. And we're back to square one, and on top of that have this big mess to clean up as well. Okay, many of these grows, it looks like it stops right at this wall of the forest where they haven't cut the trees down, but many times they just keep going. They have a little tunnel through the forest, and there's yet another grow, and sometimes yet another grow. And in this case, indeed, we have one more to go to, so come follow me.
Okay, so you can see over here this 1-inch water line. This is the main water source coming from a pond that we're going to walk through. We'll follow the water line up, and this is where they get their water from, and it comes all the way down the hill through this 1-inch line, then branches off to smaller lines, and then to the little spaghetti lines that actually water the plants. So if you want to follow me, we'll follow the line.
So if you had to guess, Dick, how many feet of this water line would you say is out here?
I'd say 300 yards.
300 yards.
Yeah, about 300 yards.
It's a lot.
Which is a very small distance and compared to the majority of the gardens. I've actually followed water lines over a mile from the garden to the source in the past.
Yeah, so like I said before, this is a fairly small garden. We're not going to see tons and tons of water line compared to most other gardens. But just to the average person who doesn't know a lot, this could be kind of a big deal for sure. You can see the water line's kind of getting hard to follow now. It's a little covered up in brush and leaves. Still poking up every so often. And we're still walking through the woods, just following this line. Eventually it's going to lead us to a pond out on this property where these growers have been siphoning off water when this was an active grow site.
Okay, so this 1-inch water line, you can imagine that flowing full of water coming out of a stream. That sucks a lot of water out of the creek all day long to water these plants. And when I cut it back there, it was still fully charged. Of course, you can tell I kind of got in the middle of it, but yeah, this is what these illegal draftings out of our creeks are what are causing a significant impact downstream in coho, salmon, and steelhead habitat.
So here's the water source that we followed that black pipe all the way to. This is a pond out on forestry property. And as you can see, let me zoom in here. got some little critters swimming around. We got some newts. Aren't they cute? So anyways, as these growers are diverting water from this pond, you can imagine it's going to get lower and lower and take away from the habitats that these newts are living in. John, do you want to talk a little more about this pond here?
Well, yeah, this is very typical of what they will set up their water sources in. They also regularly will take their fertilizer and dump them into these ponds so that by the time it gets to the plants, it's nice, great fertilized water. And that might be good for marijuana plants, but it's bad for everything else. Whether it's coho salmon, steelhead, newts, frogs, anything that lives in the water. And also the fertilized water, if it goes down to say a larger river or stream, will cause algae blooms to happen. And the issue with those is they take oxygen out of the water when those really start to flourish. And when they're fertilized, they start to flourish. So you end up with deoxygenated water in streams that have fish in them. So just about every grow we come across out in the woods that's an illegal trespass grow, we find fertilizers. These are to obviously increase the production of their plants. But many times they're used in a very impactful way on the environment. They're put right into the streams so that by the time the water comes down to the grow sites, it's all fertilized and ready to go. And of course that has a significant impact on any critters that are in the creek, and certainly if it goes downstream, it ends up in coho and steelhead habitat most of the time. So there's a lot of concern with that, seeing as how we've spent lots of money, and many landowners have, on trying to restore the habitat for these fish species. So most of the grow sites that we come across have lots of human waste, and I mean that in all of its forms, whether it's actually bodily waste, or it's trash from food items, or it's sleeping bags, dirty clothes, toothbrushes, anything that you need to live out in the forest for a long period of time, you usually find in these grow sites. And you might have 5 or 6 people living here, so you have an extensive amount of trash. This site, all we find is this shade tent with some netting around it, no sleeping bags. We're not finding any trash around here with the exception of some fertilizers. And so we think this was a site that someone came in and just tended from time to time, but not necessarily lived here. It's not all that far away from civilization, so this was probably one of the spots where people would grow and just go home at night.
Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch this information video about what an illegal marijuana grow site looks like and the environmental impacts. Before we go, I'd like to emphasize that this is not an anti-drug video. If you want to smoke marijuana, that's your deal, not mine. But I just wanted to educate you guys and let you know what really happens out there, so thanks for watching.